Okay. Hello, everybody. So I was a couple minutes late there. My cat decided it was the perfect time to climb on top of my extractor fan above my oven. But I believe we are now live. Yep, we are now live. Apologies for earlier on when I was streaming for just a few minutes and then stopped. I was just trying to test something, forgot to make the stream private, but I just wanted to make sure we were actually streaming on both YouTube and Twitch. Yesterday I was having a few technical issues with that. But regardless, it is fixed now. According to Restream, everything is working now. Hopefully, it stays that way. Okay. There we go. Now we can see everything. Everything is streaming. Okie dokie. Today we are continuing on with Lion. This is the stage we got to yesterday. We had painted the back of his cape, the front of his armor, and we began on his shoulder panels. Today I want to obviously fill in the rest of the base colours, so I want to do his lion pelt, I want to fill in the sigil on his shoulder, and then obviously paint his face and any of the details on his chest. We also painted his jump pack, except for the central part. So we painted most of that, so I'm going to add the finer details to that and finish that off today as well. Going to add final details to the sword, because luckily this is actually not got too many details in it. It's just a case of it's this silver and then like a wash over the top. But we can always add highlights, of course, to make it look a little bit better. Going to be painting the shield today. Finishing off his helmet, which is going to be laid at his feet. And then we are going to be finishing off the base today. It's quite a lot, but I think we can definitely do it. It's definitely achievable. So let's crack on by starting with Lion, shall we? I'm going to begin with going in with Xandri dust here. And I'm going to be using that to fill in the back of Lion's, the lion on Lion's back, funny enough. That's what that's going to be used for. I did make a little post on social media just to kind of say I would still be going live at 6, just so people knew. There we go. Let's flip it over so I can do the other side. I'm actually going to double up on this colour. Hello, Signed, how are you? I did actually link it so the chat could be seen on my screen, but it doesn't seem to have worked, so I'm just going to make a little alteration there, just whilst we are live, just to see if I can make it so that when you guys are actually all in, you can see it. Currently at the shops, I'll be home soon to watch. Right now I've just made it like this. That green looks great, thank you very much. What I'm going to do is just mess with the filter option in a moment, just to make the back transparent so I can actually see your messages and pop up on the screen at the same time here. So I think potentially the screen was just too dark, so your messages were potentially coming through and I just couldn't see them. Yeah. Right, I'm going to hide the chat for now because I think it's still not working properly. Did the good old Google to kind of help me with that. And it's not seeming to work, but I'd rather not waste time trying to figure that out whilst I'm on stream. Might have another little go later, but right now I'd rather focus on just getting the stream out there. At the moment, all the comments are coming through YouTube anyway. I hope you can't hear well, you probably can hear my cat crying in the background at the moment. He's deciding for now to be the perfect time for him to have a little chit chat with us. See, the stream is wanting to go in. It's just, for some reason, not wanting to show your comments, which is a bit bizarre. Yeah, I've got a bit of banging going on in the background because my cat's deciding now is the perfect time to mess around, apparently. Because it still needs figuring out restream. Okay, cat seems to be quiet for now. Just using that same Xandri Dust colour to do his hair as well. I'm going to have to mix up a little bit more of that green anyway, that brighter green that I made yesterday. Just because the back of the cape is still a little bit streaky anyway. So it needs, I think, another coat anyway. Yeah, I've tried a few times now just to re-add the chat to the screen so you guys can obviously see what I'm looking at. And yeah, it doesn't seem to want to actually share what you guys are saying on it. Even tried re-adding the URL. And yeah, it's not really having any of it, so this is the first, only the second time I'm using Restream, the first time I'm trying to add stream to my chat so you guys can actually see what's being said on YouTube and Twitch. Yesterday's Twitch comments were all bot comments, but, you know, comments are comments, so... yeah, but that chat is just not wanting to work. Even with comments in it, I thought maybe as soon as people started commenting it would be a bit easier to see, but Nothing. Nothing at all. Even tried removing any of the filters that it asked me to put on it just to make it a plain boring version of it, but it just doesn't want to go in today. Mix a little bit more of this lighter green mix. Just mixing it more colour. Just making sure there's no additional water in my brush so I can actually just pick up colour and not just water. Okay, just one layer of that, but obviously it's going to need 2 or 3 coats to match what I've done on the rest. I'm going to go in with some Balthazar Gold now, which is this colour. I'm going to do his belts on the front here with that. What I might do in a little bit is just try and make the chat box live again in a little bit when I've got obviously potentially a few more people commenting and see if that helps. Just in case it's just delayed or anything like that. Then again, it wouldn't be a stream on my side without some form of technical issue. Today, Twitch seems to be working for me, and in this case, the chat box to share publicly what everyone is saying doesn't seem to be. It seems to be if I get one thing working, something else doesn't want to. There's the chat is ready to display messages, but doesn't even want to show yours signed. It's just being a bit rude. I don't know if that's a problem on my end or direct from potentially Restream's side. I'm not even going to edit the background of that for now. I'm going to just leave it as is, and if some chat options pop through, then fantastic. And then from there I can edit the background. I'd rather be able to actually just see the chat. There's a tiny bit of green visible just underneath his arm here. So I'm just going in and adding that green there. I will be darkening this cape up today as well, because that is one thing I do want to do today. I'm going to move on to a very, very tiny brush now. Because obviously the lion has a little bit of facial hair. So of course his mustache and his beard have to match. I'm really sweeping over this with white, obviously to show that he's a little bit more aged, but for the most part he's blonde-ish, so Just going in with some Abaddon Black now. Just to go over the areas I did yesterday. Just because they're a little bit patchy. It's getting underneath this arm as well, because all of his underside of his arm is black, or supposed to be black. Surprised Mr. Nerd hasn't joined us yet. He should be, yeah. Oh, we've got another person watching. That could very well be Mr. Nerd. Or it could be a mystery person, I don't know. There we go. Can actually see your chats now. What I'm going to do is just quickly try and make this background transparent so you can still see everything behind us without the black or the dark background. So I think it just needed a few minutes just to catch up. Okay, if I put white on, it completely disappears. So let's try black. Currently still just playing with stuff, trying to figure out what works for the stream. Okay. If I add a chroma key, it just completely disappears, so... I'm just going to remove the chroma key for now. Okay. I think for today, I'm just gonna leave it so we can at least see the comments. And then what I'll do over the next couple streams is just make it so that background's transparent, and then go from there. It's more so if you guys are obviously watching from Twitch or YouTube, you can see the comments from everybody. And it's Alfarius. Okie dokie. Light's being weird again. Technology is not my friend today. Just trying to look at his hand that is on this one that's hidden beneath his shield and determining whether or not it's his skin or whether or not it's his glove. And it's his glove, so I can just slap black all over that one. Did you not pet pro to the Omnisite? Not today. That's probably my mistake. So far the chat is appearing. It's just not transparent. But I'll just try and keep it so everything I do, you can see obviously the remaining part of the screen. And then tomorrow I'll make it so the background's transparent so you can still see the comments and everything that's going on the screen. I was fiddling around with this for like 2 hours trying to just get the chat option to appear. But I wouldn't know if my chat was visible basically until people started commenting. So this was the only way to test it, really. Don't mind me, sorry, I was putting my glass on a bit too hard. Okie dokie. Just going back to the Citadel Colours app now. just so I can have a look at what parts are supposed to be what colours. Okay. Gonna go in with some corn red, and I'm gonna finish off the pressing on his leg, and he's also got one on his little chest shield as well. But that whole thing is going to be in a bronze tone. And once I've done like all the tiny fiddly messy bits that can kind of get in the way, I will then paint the underside of his cloak with the nude shade, just so I can then clean up any mistakes I'm making, essentially. So every single time I look at it, I'm seeing like another part that's supposed to be green or another part that's supposed to be black, because it's just so many tiny tidbits. Have you had a good day today, Signed? It's getting some silver in now. I have to say the lion pelt is a nice colour too. Thank you. That is Xandri dust. I generally use it for bones. I use it for like old bones or blonde hair. But I feel like it works quite well for the lion pelt. Yes, slow day, the night though. My hands kept going numb. Oh dear. Thought my hands kept going. That's not very nice at all. Very unpleasant sensation, I imagine. So I'm just going in with some silver because I just remembered that this little part on his leg is supposed to be silver. Oh no, it most certainly wasn't. Bless you. Either one or two things is happening. Either Mr. Nerd decides to just go home, like go straight to bed, which I wouldn't blame him for, or he's potentially coming home. I don't know. Normally he would have popped his head in by now just to say a little chit chat, even if it was only brief. I'm just looking between my phone for the image references and the screen as well. Cool. So obviously all this is silver, this is supposed to be gold, and then this is more of a bronze colour. Rothma, no, O Rothma, where art thou, O Rothma? If he's coming home, I'll find out in about 2 hours. When he's done his drive to get from point A to point B. But this brush has got a few stray hairs on it that I think I've just kind of worn it out a little bit, so it's a little bit worse for wear. So unfortunately, as I'm trying to apply certain colours, they're going everywhere. Ahoy, there he is. There is the Rothma. We were having a few technical issues with the chat Rothma, where it didn't want to show for ages. And the minute I try to put a filter on it to make it transparent, it just disappears completely, which is not really the point. So for now, today, it's just on the screen. The minute I try and drag it down to make it longer, though, it just decides to mess up a little bit. You did summon him, signed, you did. For some reason it's only showing the top section of the chat rather than jumping down, which is a little bit bizarre. See if that changes it. Like a demon from the warp. Sounds like potentially Rothma's had a slightly longer day than he probably hoped. Or a puppy for treats. That works too. Or one of our cats for catnip. Or Riku for the laser pointer. More like a cat with dreamies. We'll call it catifactions, yeah. With, I like that. Literally, right before I was about to start, I looked up and I had Riku stood on the extractor fan in our kitchen. And I was like, huh. Normally I'd just leave him to get down by himself, but there was a spider very, very high on the wall and he was determined he would get it. He would not. It was far too high, but he was not coming down. So I had to go and get him down and persuade him down with said dreamies because he was not having any of it. Oh, no spiders. No spiders. It was only a little one. Very, very small one. And to be honest, he's currently about... He's on the other side of the room, about 12 foot in the air. So he is of no quorum to me. He is just doing his thing. It's particularly wet and windy outside today, so I don't blame him for wanting to come inside. Spiders are one of the few... Well, to be honest, I'm not really scared of any insect. Insects don't particularly bother me. The only one that used to was millipedes. Doesn't matter, a spider is a spider. I understand you. I understand that logic. Millipedes used to freak me out because of the amount of legs. That was the thing that freaked me out about millipedes. But now, I've since held a millipede. I've conquered my fear as such. And now, since then, I'm not scared of millipedes either. And I had a spider put its foot in my mouth when I was a teenager. Once you've had something literally touch you in that way, kind of hard to be afraid. Well, to be honest, it was either going to make me worse or make me more terrified. And in this case, luckily, it made me better. So my brain kind of went, can't get any worse than that. Not in the UK, anyway. If I was somewhere like Australia, I would be validly still very much afraid of spiders. But in the UK, they're not really something I have to worry too much about. Because even the biggest ones over here. Oh my god, that sends shivers down my spine. Yeah, it was, the experience itself was quite traumatic, but not because of the spider. It's because I didn't even realise it was on me until its foot, like, touched my face and then it ran off me. I was kind of like, oh, what was that? Oh, it was a spider. Nice. Is it going to be just tune in for a little bit, Rothma, Mr. Nerd, and then probably go to bed? I'm going to go and start ahead doing his skin now, which I'm going to use some Bugman's Glow for. I had a spider on my ceiling a while back, woke up from my sleep, my fairy lights were still on, and I saw a black spot on my ceiling. I mean, to be honest, fairy lights, as much as they're pretty, they do make everything a lot scarier. I have some Battlefield to play. Serious stuff, then. Only the most serious. I have to be up rather early. Yes, you do. I'm going to mix a tiny bit of Kislev flesh with this as well, just because I think if I just paint him with Bugman's, he's going to be a very sunburnt looking boy. I'm going to go ahead and hide the tracks. It seems to be stuck on one section for some reason. Like I said, so far everyone's communicating through YouTube at the moment anyway, so you should be able to see each other's comments. So the stream chat's working, just not 100%. It's just Got a few little bugs for me to still work out. Pardon the pun though, since we're talking about spiders. As you can see at the moment, he's looking a little bit sunburnt. He spent a little bit too much time away on holiday directly in the sunlight. He's like any Irishman or British man who can't catch a tan. They just go a salmon-like colour or they go bright red, and that's it. There is no in between. Oh my god, even in 40k, wear sunscreen. Exactly. To be honest, he does have quite a few wrinkles. So, I mean, like I said, here's an older boy. Trying to get it to focus on his face. There we go. So, stream chat doesn't show signs messages. You only need top few messages in the restream overlay. Let me have a little look. Let me just make a few adjustments whilst I'm here. There we go. That should fix it so you can now see signs messages. Okay. Going in with some Retributor armor now. Just going to finish off his chest piece. I see a wild sign. She has appeared. Technology, what a hoot. I agree. Thing trying to get Twitch to work, trying to get everything Restream to work, trying to get YouTube to work. Especially when I have the technological advances of like an old lady. Takes me a while to learn new things. Waves like a wild woman. Hi! Yeah, currently just trying to get everything to work. Like I said, it seems to like want to half work for me. And after that, it kind of goes, nah, I'm done. Google is your friend. It will tell you how to do everything you need. That's exactly what I've been using today. It told me how to add the overlay, like how to add the link to the chat to stream, and it did it. But then it doesn't seem to want to show the remaining comments. It only seems to want to show the first few. So, don't wave like Pennywise. That's creepy. Like, it seems to only want to show a certain amount of the screen. If I turn the chat on, it's like it's missing the last few. And there's no way for me to scroll down. So, it's just being a bit awkward. Just filling in the back of his armour now with black. Yeah, so I had quite a few messages since your stream chat message. And yeah, it just doesn't seem to want to scroll down. So I will figure it out. Half the battle was getting it to appear in the first place. All of this is going to be covered up when the backpack is attached, but I'd rather make sure it's all filled in. Just make sure there's no white sections that are left visible. Let's see if I can get the chat settings to just show the top view, shall we? Nope. Won't even let me just select the top few comments. It's allowing me to make it more compact. We'll figure that out at a later date, I think, because it's just going to cause me issues if I try and do it now when I should be painting. Have you got anything else planned for this evening then, signed? Doing some diamond painting and watching YouTube. Ooh. I'm going to get back in with some Balthazar gold. And I'm going to paint his chest shield here with that. For the diamond painting, like how do you go about it? Like what are you doing at the moment? What are you working on? There's a gold colour in the Citadel range called Auric Armour Gold, beautiful gold, very sheer. I use nearly half the bottle for painting a chariot. Yeah, we've got that one. I use it for a highlight shade. I'll be using it as a highlight shade for this, to be honest. The peacock on a canvas. Oh, very nice. I use Can't Black Alloy to highlight gold. Ooh. I don't think I've heard of that one. But yeah, we have Auric Armor Gold here ready for highlighting the rest of the gold items today. Going to paint the back of his shield using gold because that's obviously what his majority going to be. It's silver colour. Ooh, very nice. Okay. I have to jump between the Warhammer website and the City of Colours app to look at different aspects of the character. Because with the City app, obviously it only shows you like one side of the figure, but I want to get a close look at his shield and his shoulder piece, so I can paint that next. Okay. I'm going to attempt to paint this, and once that's done, that's the base of everything done. And then I can use my nude colour to fill in the rest of this. Clean up some sections using my paints that I'm going to be getting out now, while I'm at it as well. And then I can move on to base painting the rest of the items. So right now I'm going in with Caliban Green again. Which I'm going to be needing to do a tiny bit of detailing on this shield. Can you imagine the line just marching towards you? Even when he's geriatric, he still looks freaking terrifying. Yeah, absolutely. He is very epic. Not to mention, like, the fact, obviously we know, like, when they found him, he couldn't talk or anything like that. He was taught how to speak. He'd very much give the impression you don't need to teach the person how to talk. He is in the new Dawn of War game, expected to come out next year. Ooh. May have to watch you play that, Mr. Nerd. Purely just for Lion, nothing else. I need my tiniest brush for this little bit. I expect you to play that. Yeah. To be honest, I can guarantee Mr. Nerd will 100% play it. That's the only thing I can guarantee. For his shoulder, I'm going to go in with a tiny bit of Celestia Grey. So I'm going to do the wings first, and then I'll do the parts that's supposed to be green and red. You as in Mr. Othma. Yeah. I will play it for sure. Gonna get some silver ready so I can clean this up as well. Which of course is lead belcher. So you've got to let that grey dry. This middle section, right in the middle of this shield, just very, very small for you guys, is a combination of red and green. And then this says Lionel Johnson on his banner here going across his shoulder. That's just going to be like a nude shade, same shade I'll use for the rest of it. But I'm not going to do any more on that shoulder, obviously, until the greys didn't dry. So I'm going to just mix a tiny bit of a brownish red colour to do the shield on his arm here. And then I'll move on to one of the other things to paint whilst that dries. In fact, I'm just going to use some Doom Bull brown for that, because it's that perfect reddish shade. So rather than mixing corn red with a bit of black, I was going with the colour that actually works. Just in case you're confusing him with Gulliman. Just in case, yeah. Just in case he forgets who he is himself. Obviously, he is geriatric. We know we've got to be a little bit considerate of the fact of his age. I'm hoping the union with Gulliman will be somewhat brotherly. Because they might beat the crap out of each other and then hug. Which, to be honest, is pretty brotherly, I think, as far as 40k goes. Going with some Abaddon Black now on his gun holster. Yeah, I think even if their reunion isn't great, it'd be one of those things where they might like be really grumpy with each other, but then the minute someone attacks Gulliman or the minute someone attacks Lion, the other will be right there, just being like, you can't hurt him. Only I can do that. You can see he's coming together a lot better now. I'll just be muting my mic. My next door neighbour suddenly decided now's the time to start some drilling. I don't know why. What are we thinking so far then, guys? Is he looking pretty good? That silver one almost looks like it's not painted because of how pale it is, because I'm still waiting for that grey to dry. But he's coming together pretty well, I think. He's looking very majestic, thank you. Just gonna get some Rakarth flesh ready for the parchment side of his I can't remember what they're called now. Very helpful for my mind to draw a blank there. Right, I might have to bite the bullet now and just paint this whole underside with the Rakarth flesh. You'll do great. I have absolute faith in your skills, thank you. Just need a little bit more Rakarth flesh because I've got quite a large area to do now. Imagine Mr. Nerd has gone silent because he's playing Battlefield. Not that I blame him. Yeah, there's a couple of places already that I've accidentally got the paint on, so I'll have to just touch those up in a moment. Bit more colour, a little bit more Rakarth flesh. So you said you're at the shop earlier, Sign. Did you pick anything up nice for yourself? Was it dinner shopping? I got a pizza for tonight. Very nice. I had pizza the other night when I was setting up, well, my friend was setting up Christmas decorations for me. So we just bought some pizzas and had some of those a couple of nights ago. Just simple shop bought one, nothing too fancy. And my shop now has terry chocolate oranges, got both the dark and milk, very nice. Tis the festive season after all, so just getting a small brush so I can go in and fix up those details that I need to fix. And to think my bestie probably has even more waiting for me. Probably. Is orange chocolate your favourite thing then? Or is it just terry chocolate orange specifically? Right, just having a look at that shield on his shoulder now. She introduced me to it years ago and I love the stuff, terry specifically. The chocolate is terrific. Oh dear. About time we had a dad joke on the stream. We got one, finally. Groans, exactly. Goes sat on us for ages and then comes in with a dad joke. That doesn't scream Rothma. I don't know what does. I know it's good practice, but still. So the figure that's actually on this sleeve is like a tiny little hooded figure with a sword. It's absolutely minuscule, which is why I'm not talking very much. I'm trying to concentrate. He's a pro at this point. He's been training for years. Yes, he has. So right in the middle is like a tiny little hooded monk-looking figure. It's obviously supposed to be lion. Down the middle is a red sword, which I'm going to fill in now. And then I'm just going to clean up some edges using that grey as before. And then I'm going to fill in the Lionel Johnson bit using that Rakarth flesh shade that I had for the underside of his cape. And then I just need to do his gun and his holster on this side. And then his base is done. I need to do this little bit using Rakarth flesh, but I needed to leave something that I could hold on to when I was painting before. So Russma suggested something a little while ago. When we eventually gear up our set a little bit more, we'll be getting another camera specifically for cat cam, which would be pretty awesome right now because I currently have a cat in front of me in a basket. He just decided that's where it's going to sit. I'm sure anybody who would be watching on a cat cam would appreciate that view. Right, for the red I'm going in with corn red. Maybe you could hold him on his little stubs of his feet with pliers or something. Maybe. It's not too bad, to be honest. It's just a case of while certain areas are drying. For the most part, I can lean him to like a certain degree and then just kind of hold him down with the tip of my finger. But that's the red part done as well now. Obviously, all these details will be brought out a lot more when I go into the shading stage. Time to go in with a little bit of Rakarth flesh now. Which again is this like nudie colour. I haven't actually got any like Christmas chocolate this year so far. But we're putting up our Christmas tree this weekend with some help from friends, so I'll probably get some in for that. Get some sections using Caliban Green. And like I said, it's just gun and holster to do then after that. And then his base is done, and I can then move on to basing the rest of his stuff. Or finish off basing the rest of his stuff and start his shield. Ideally start and finish his shield. To be honest, I'm going to finish everything that I need to base on stream today. And then tomorrow I can shade and hopefully highlight. Just a quick preview of what tomorrow's video is, by the way. So I had my Plague Guard from the other day. This is just like the base tutorial I was talking about releasing. So it's my Plague Bombardier. He's coming together pretty nicely, but he needs his highlights and needs his base done. And then once I've done that, he will be finished. And then, of course, I will be adding all of his battle damage and making him all gory, just like with the other one. Oh god, Plague Marines, somebody get me get the soap. Yeah, these are from the kill team. So obviously we've got the Space Marines, the Angels of Death already done. So of course I had to do the Plague Marines as well. But I've still got another, how many more have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 more to do before Saturday. So that Mr. Nerd and I can go into our local store and play some Warhammer on Saturday. Whether it be Kill Team or Warcry. I'm gonna phone up and check. But I do believe it is Warcry this Saturday. Like I said, I'll double check when I ring up tomorrow probably. Just so then we're both prepared with an army each. Right. Gun and holster. To be honest, painting the Plague Marines is really, really fun. I very much enjoyed painting the Plague Marines. It's going in on most of his gun using... Where did I put it? Lead Belcher. To be honest, because it's actually wanting the rest of it to be black, I might just paint the entirety of his gun silver. Just to break up that black a little bit. I want to get started on the 5 other itty bitties that I have. I just need to make a bow for one. Make them as cute as physically possible. There we go. That is the base entirely done on lion. This is before shading, before highlighting, so he's obviously very flat at the moment, but he's completely base painted. This thing that looks white is actually a grey here, very pale grey on his shoulder. He can be put to one side. And I think we're going to finish off his pack and his sword first, because they're going to take me the least amount of time. And then we'll go from there. Just got to grab the contrast paint that I need to do his sword. Thank you, signed. Got quite the selection of paints in front of me, so I'm just finding the right one. Specifically the contrast paint that I need. Yeah, actually white paint is not very good. Off-white is so much better. I agree. I mean, nothing in 40k is particularly clean. Okie dokie. For the sword, I'm going in with Coelia green shade. Because literally the only things, the colours that they've got for this sword are this and the silver that's underneath. And that is it. Also, I'm going to do one side at a time. And it's just like sections of it that are this. Like it's not even the whole blade. But it creates like a tinged metal look. But I'm going to just cover the entire blade in this just because I think it will look a bit better rather than just being patchy. You see it's like a very, not just that, but white paint is so streaky, off-white's not exactly. I think I'm going to build this up in a few layers, this green shade, over the metal, just to kind of give it the look I'm going for. And I might even use some blue in there as well, just to create the desired effect I'm actually going for. But obviously I'm going to do one side at a time, so I don't rub off any hard work I've done. And now I believe I need silver, red, and gold, green again for the central part of his pack. I just need white for that part. Or red, black, and silver, sorry. So I'm going to cover the whole thing in a base of black. And there's like a tiny little sigil thing right above his the pack that just says Valor. It's very small, you can't even really see it. But that's in black and gold. Not black and gold, red and gold. So I'm just going to fill that in with red. I believe so, yeah. I believe his sword is named Fealty, it's signed. I can't remember the top of my head at the moment. That's a nice backpack. It is a very nice backpack. This is going to be dry brush with gold, so it's obviously just bronze and gold. And then the wings are going to have light silver throughout. But to be honest, I might even highlight this today, just because it's not going to take me that long to do. I'm going to do these parts silver when I do this in a sigil silver. Just to kind of get this done and out the way. But I'm just going to quickly fill in the back of this with that dark green. Just in case, because I don't want any parts visible. If they ever sell those a real backpack, I might just get one. To be honest, it would be a valid reason to get one. It's such a tiny piece, it's like every time I kind of paint it, it doesn't want to stay in focus. There we go, that's the back all filled in. There we go. I think for when I do, I'm just trying to think how in the world I'm going to get the Valor part to be gold, because even with our smallest brush, I don't think we have a brush small enough or thin enough to do that. But I might stand corrected with that. Let me just grab some gold and see if I can get it to do as it's told. It's like a very steady hand. Maybe paint it all in gold first and then go in with the red. The problem is because it's just so tiny, the section that I need to paint. The Valar part is almost like such a big part of it that if I then try and go over it with red, actually I might be okay. Essentially what I've done is I've just picked up a tiny bit of this colour and I haven't added any water to it yet, and I've almost like dry brushed it over the letters. Yeah, that's worked. Quite impressed with that, actually. And I touched a tiny bit there, so I'm just going to clean up the tiny bit of green. Whew. You can just see it picked up on camera there. Quite impressed with that. Now I need the silver. And then his pack's base is done. So a bit more lead belcher. I'm just recommends using grey. It's so tiny, but I believe you. Yeah, it's like, obviously that entire red section there was originally just solid red, just here. And I've just gone over it with the tiniest bit of gold, and it seems to have picked it up. Going to get some water, be right back. Okay. Just filling in these wings. And that is it. That is the base of the pack. Finished. It's very cool, to be honest. Like I said, I'm just going to go in and highlight this now, I think. For that. Of course, I'm going to go in with Stormhost Silver to highlight the rest of the silver. I'm going to go in on the wings. But I'm just going to add it to just a few rather than every single one of them, just to kind of add dimension. It just creates a very subtle shift. Very subtle shift, like I said. Now I'm going to get that Auric Armor Gold. Just to count some of that onto my wet palette. It is a very nice gold, and I'm just gonna use this on like the tips of the This is technically like a stage I should do after shading, but I kind of want to add a little bit of dimension first, and then when I add the shades, so obviously make it all darker, go over these again. I think it's so subtle you can't even really tell. And like I said, on the wings you can just see a very subtle shift where I've added the storm host. But that'll be that for now. We go back to the sword. Can barely see it's got the tiniest hint of green to it. Go to the other side now. If it'll stay focused. Obviously his hand is attached to this, but I can't paint his hand until the rest of the blade's dry. So pop that there. And I think we'll finish off his helmet, because that's going to be bronze. And then we'll go on to his shield, which is going to be the most complex part, I think, today, because there's lots of details in that. So I'm using Balthazar Gold. I think the colour that I'm going to be using to highlight this is a colour called Scorpion Brass, and that's particularly nice as well. Yeah, this is Balthazar Gold, so it is like a bronzy gold rather than a gold. There we go. Put that to one side. Obviously I've got that one side dry before I paint the other. Right. I took my reference photos again. Okay, so the base of the shield is very bronzy, and then the centre is very gold with lots of red, and then a few little blue elements in there as well. So that's what we're going to be hoping to achieve today. So let's crack on with that then. Shield time! Indeed. So I'm just going to quickly decant some more Balthazar Golds. I don't want a massive brush, but I don't want a tiny one either. So I'm going for one that's about that size. I can take this all the way to the edges of the shield, that's fine. Such a beautiful shield though. Okay. There we go. Right. Now I need some Retributor armor to actually fill in the central part of this shield. And then I think I'm going to go in with Auric Armor Gold for like the laurel that's around his, the laurel leaf thing that's around his head. Just because that seems to be slightly less intense than the rest. Obviously this is all going to be highlighted as well. Once it's highlighted, that will bring out the this colour a lot more. So we're at the moment. I already have some auric armor still decanted, so I'm just going to use that to do the laurel leaf. Does that shield come as a pin? I don't know. I hope so, though. It's very cool. I'm sure worst case scenario, you could always go to someone like Etsy and they'd probably have it as a pin. Someone very clever has probably made it into a pin. This star that he's got at the top is actually silver, and then the center has been filled with this green. So I'm going to paint that shield in silver. Not shield, that little star in silver, sorry. And then you get this. Just see what other details there are. Obviously, I've got the little side pieces to do. Around the neck of this very regal looking bird, very shiny, is a necklace. Which technically just asks me to put red on it, but I actually have a paint that makes things look jewel toned. So I'm going to use that on the central like jewel around his neck, because I just think why not? Make it extra shiny. More shine, more sparkles, the better, really. A little bit more silver. It's like a serpent coming out of that he's got in his mouth here. So just to differentiate between the creatures, I'm gonna make that silver as well. And that's where we're at the moment. Looks pretty nice. few fish hooks, so I'm going to make those silver as well. To give us this. Nice, thank you. Trying to figure out whether or not they've painted the eye to be a different colour. Nope, they haven't. Cool. Right. So just on to the sigils now. When this is all dry, I'll paint the back in Balthazar Gold, like once one side is dry. But until then, so let me see if I can find my little jewel shade thing actually. I have it right here. Spirit Stone Red. Yeah, these are just plain red, so I'm going to go in with corn for this. To corn red. Did you read the line novel yet? No, not yet. I think it's one of those things I have to start taking up to bed with me so I can read it in the evenings or something. Oh, how he gets the shield is such a cool part in the book. Ooh. Just to make this red a little bit truer, even with my Spirit Stone, I'm just going to apply a little bit of corn red to the jewel on his chest as well. And then that just leaves us with the parchments part to do, which is going to be in Rakarth Flesh. There we go. That's the base of the shield more or less done. Maybe an idea, the shade, Targor Rig shade over the shield and then highlight with gold. The site claims it's purple, but it looks red to me. Yeah, that's what I've got. I actually do have Targor as the recommended that and also the recommended Seraphim Sepia to go over the bronze. So I might do the Seraphim over the bronze, Targor over the bird, and then go from there, I think. Okay. But it's pretty cool. Right. The base is more or less open to interpretation. So for that, I'm just going to go in with lots of brown shades and then obviously pull out any... I'll do the skeleton first, actually. For that, I'm actually going to go in with Karak Stone, just to kind of give it a slightly more aged look. Again, I don't want a massive brush for this, but I don't want a tiny one either. They recommended obviously shades and stuff like that to go over with the bones, but I always go over bones with Skeleton Horde. I just prefer it, Skeleton Horde, the contrast paint. I just keep the wash really thin. It's just my preference. So that's the base of the bones. And there's also some skeletons kind of like lined up randomly. Okay, I think that's it for skeletons. Skeletons and skulls. Just trying to have a look at what the okay, so this is black and bronze. That's fine. I can do that now. To be honest, I'm tempted to just go over these because I'm not the biggest fan of the red that I did on these last night. I'm tempted to just go over them with Doom Bowl. So I'm thinking I might just go over the guys with those, with that. And then go over them with... Where's the shade I was after? Carabag Crimson to give it a more red hue later when I do shading. So I think I'm going to do that. I just think obviously the shade will bring out the more reddish hue anyway. And since this is already going over a red colour, it won't make it that much darker. But it will help make it a bit more browny toned rather than just pure red toned. It's not a huge difference, it's just enough to make it more on the browner red shade rather than... So the majority of this is colour guide accurate. It's just a couple look parts that aren't. You see the shade difference is just ever so slight. But it's obviously a more brown toned red and that's more red toned red. But I just prefer the more brown tone. I like the more wine red. I think when I apply the red shade over the top, it will make it more of a winey colour. So obviously it will bring out the more red tone in this brown paint.